I talked about abnormality before and how society and cultures looked at abnormality. I talked about psychologists look at maladjustment, that's there. What we're going to do now is go through all the different, not all of them, but quite a few of the different categories that psychologists look at in terms of diagnosing issues that people may have. This is right out of your book. These are some of the selected categories I'm looking at. You might want to look at this where there's a problem, what the primary symptoms are, typical signs of trouble. Maybe you can diagnose other people, okay? But you have to be very careful with this. As I said before, you can't just look at somebody and say, oh, they're this way, right? There's a lot that goes into this. So, what do you think? The percent of people I encounter who have psychological disorders are what? See if yours is working. If it's not, we'll fix it. Did it work?
It went.
Okay.
Must have just got it right.
Yeah.
The last one.
Okay. I don't know if I want to know the answer to this to know what people you hang around all the time. What do you think? 32% say about 10%, and that's pretty accurate. That's there in the general population. If you take a snapshot of the general population, it looks like anywhere from about 12 to 18% of the people can be diagnosed with a psychological disorder, if you take a snapshot. If you look at it over the lifetime of people, though, it's more like 70 or 80% of people at one time in their life could have issues where they could be diagnosed. And when I get to that one, I'll tell you, there's one that my guess is probably 90% of us could be diagnosed with this, and most of us wouldn't even know it. Those of you that are 4%, where you're around 50% of the people, you have a lot of drama in your life, I think. That's there. All right, this is the book I was talking about the other day before I ended, and it's called the DSM-4-TR. And it stands for the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual Mental Disorders, the 4th edition text revision. And what I said the other day is just this summer, they came out with the DSM-5. Obviously, I can't cover that now because your textbook is just the DSM-4-TR. But it's a brand new diagnostic and statistical manual that changes some of our views. The DSM-4-TR, the DSM-5, is a very, very thick book. It's about this thick. And what this is if I am interviewing somebody and if I need to diagnose someone, this is the book that tells me how to diagnose someone. So what I would do is interview someone, talk with them, okay, get an indication of what's going on in their life. That's there. And then if I need to, I can consult the book, or all this stuff is online too. And what happens, it says, if this client has the following traits, or the following 6 out of 8 traits for X amount of time, could be 3 months, 6 months, or a year, okay, then you follow what they call a diagnostic tree, a branch, over to this category over here, and then they say, now, if they have 4 out of 6 of these traits for this amount of time, then you go over here, okay, and in the end, you come up with a diagnosis. But what I'm trying to say with this is, it's not something that you can just go, oh, they're that way. It's very, very strict guidelines, and the person has to meet those characteristics on each one of those trees before you can diagnose them. What this book then does will say, what are the percentage of people in the United States who've been diagnosed with this? They'll say if there's male and female and age groups and ethnic groups. And then what it'll say is, what's the best treatment modality for it? Now, how to treat that. Some of you who are going into the health professions, particularly nursing, you're going to buy a book that's probably even thicker than that. It's called the Physician's Desk Reference, okay? It's about that thick. Again, it's all online now, though. And that's what a physician uses to diagnose. Again, it's all based on research. This is not just somebody observing. It's all based on pretty solid research that's there. So a physician, you'd come into a physician, the physician would say, oh, let me see, your presenting symptoms are running nose, kind of a yellowish, greenish discharge, that's their yuck, right? Okay, you have a slight swelling in this area or maybe up here, some basic headaches that are there, and you're running a low-grade fever. If he needs to, which I hope he doesn't need to do it for this one, he can go look all that stuff up, and you can, by the way, you can type this stuff into WebMD and all kinds of other places as well to try to figure it out. And my guess is that's probably symptoms of a sinus infection, right? And then what it would tell him is that here's the best treatment for this and what medication to give. Okay? In our book, we do have medications for the psychiatrist because psychologists don't dispense medication, but it would also tell us what you probably need to do is use behavioral therapy, and that's our next chapter, for X amount of time. So it's a pretty solid book that we use. Once again, the point I'm making is it's not something that we just kind of dream up. It's based on some pretty solid research when we come up with this information. All right? Question for you. This is not for a point. This is just a opinion question. Mental disorders are largely caused by what? Now, we have physical disorders, right, that we have physically, physical illnesses. Well, what they call these would be mental disorders, psychological disorders, or mental illness. What do you think is the largely caused by parental problems, neurochemical factors, brain abnormalities, interpersonal factors, or just a flat-out need for attention? Okay? Your opinion. Now, once again, like a lot of these questions, there should be a number 6 up here. I would hope you would say, which would be all of the above. Because it really depends upon the situation that's there. 53% would say neurochemical factors. You know, the more I look at this, the more I find the research saying yes. Just about a lot of issues that people have some neurochemical basis. As we go through this, what it looks like, at least to me, my professional opinion, is the more severe the problem is, the more 2 and 3 are going to be correct. The more the severe problem, like schizophrenia or psychosis, is probably the most severe mental disorder. And that looks like it is purely physical. Brain abnormalities, neurochemical problems that are there, major depression, bipolar, all have neurochemical or brain abnormalities. The issues that most of us may deal with in our lives probably have to do with our upbringing, interpersonal factors that are there, relationships. I hope not the need for attention, but that could be a factor as well. All right, so copy all this one down. This will be on your test. Just to show you, my gosh, that's why this book is this thick, is there are all kinds of different disorders. Some of these disorders are just childhood disorders. This is disorders usually diagnosed in infancy, childhood, and adolescence. So if you are a child or adolescent therapist, what happens is that you look at this area a lot, and you can see all the disorders. Some of them you may think that doesn't have anything to do with psychology. I mean, it's a tic or a feeding disorders or Tourette's syndrome, but they affect human behavior. They affect how you interact with other people, therefore they fall under these categories that are there. This category here, like dementia, Alzheimer's, advanced stages of dementia in terms of older age, you deal with people in later years. Still comes under the DSM-5 or DSM-4. Mental conditions that have a medical initiation to it would be in this area, substance-related problems, and then schizophrenia, and so on down the line. Okay? I'm not going to cover all of these, but I'm going to touch on some of these. The first group I want to talk about are called personality disorders. Okay? Personality disorders. And this is a special category, because when we talk about personality disorders, it's just that. There's an issue that someone has within their core personality. And what we find is that this types of diagnosis, you usually have to trace it, erase the word usually. You have to trace it back to childhood. You see the patterns developing during childhood for all of these. So for these, people may have, when they come in with a presenting issue and you give them a diagnosis of a personality disorder, my gosh, this has been going on for decades. If someone's 28 years old, you can go back to when they're 8 and 9 and probably see a pattern that develops that's there. If that's the case, then you're not going to help these people at 1 or 2 easy sessions. This may go on for years sometimes to help these people. They're divided up into 3 categories. Moderate impairment, which are all of these, high impairment, these, and severe impairment, that's these. I'm only going to pick out one out of each one of these to talk about, and I'll tell you the difference between all of these. The first grouping is called moderate impairment, which basically means these people function in society. You go out with these people, you may be married to these people, you may work with these people, but they don't hold on to a relationship or a job. They're kind of in and out of those. Okay? We do see them in therapy, but some of these we almost never see. We almost never see. And they're around in society. We interact with these people quite often. Each one of these are more severe than what the description is up here. I may go through all 4 of these just for the fun of it for you. The first 2, dependent and histrionic, are mostly females. Although we're beginning to see some changes with this. The dependent personality is you lack confidence and you're extremely submissive and dependent upon others, very clingy. Well, my gosh, when I was dating, I went out with a lot of those people that are there. You may go out. You may have some men who do this. But when you go into the DSM-4, remember I told you 4 out of 6 characteristics and 6 out of 8, this is much more involved with this. Men, this is the girl you met once, okay? And when you hit it off really well with her, because these people know how to get into you and connect with you, and they say all the right things to you, and they make you feel really, really good, like you're really, really special, by the way, because they have to be loved. They're the ones that have to have attention all the time. They have to be loved. So they want to be loved by you, and they'll do everything you want. And you kind of get enmeshed with them. And you just see them for 3 or 4 months, let's just say. And then you tell them, well, you know, it's deer season right now, and I want to go with my buddies out hunting. I just want to let you know that my buddies are coming in. We're going to go a hunting weekend. And when I come back on Sunday, I'll come see you. Oh, but she says, I don't want to be without you for a whole weekend. And you say, yeah, but it's only a weekend. She says, well, okay. Will you think about me? Oh, of course, I'll think about it. Will you call me? Well, I don't know. We're going to be out in a deer blind. I don't even know if I get reception. But don't you love me? Well, I don't know if I love you. Don't love me? Well, we've just been going out for 3 or 4 months. I really, really like you. But I love you. Really, really do. Okay, well, I'm falling in love with you. Okay, but do call me. Okay, and you leave like going, ugh. Kind of like, ugh. It's just getting awful close there. And you get this kind of gut level feeling like, oh, it's just, she's also very invasive of you. So you go out on your weekend and you're killing deer and stuff, and you're out there having a good time, okay? And you get to a spot and you look at your phone, and there's like 45 text messages from her. You know, thinking of you, why don't you call me? And you go, God, that's kind of weird. And you text her back going, hey, thinking about you. She texts back right away because all she's doing is just got her phone right there. Just you see how obsessed these people are? Sometimes they're so intense with this. This is not like what they're describing. This is very involved. So right away she texts back, says, oh, I was so afraid that maybe you got shot or maybe a deer got you. Yeah, like a little deer is going to get me. Okay, and so you go through this, no, I'm okay. We're going back to the hotel or we're camping out. Then we're going to go to one of these local bars that are here. Well, what's the name of the bar? Oh, it's so-and-so place. Oh, okay, great. So you're out with your buddies at the bar, and pretty soon you get this. You know where I'm going with this. Well, this is what I'm saying. This is a personality disorder. This is impairments that's there. And you turn around, I mean, this is like 110 miles away, and there she is. And you go, whoa. And she says, I hope you don't, oh, is this your friends? Oh, hi, I'm so-and-so. And she gets real nice and everything, and you're kind of like, this is weird. This is a little weird. And she grabs onto you and stuff, and then you say, look, I just wanted to be with my friends. You're finally standing up. I just wanted to be my friends. Well, what are you going to do, send me home? It's late at night. Well, I don't know what else to do. But I really don't want you here. I want to be with my friends. You don't love me. And then she breaks down and cries, and she's upset, and finally you say, okay, you can stay. And your buddies are going, okay. So, and then a week or two later, you go away for something else. She shows up again, and you say, look, stop it. I can't do this. And then she does well, if you don't love me, my life is over with. I'm going to kill myself. And she's serious about this. Okay? Now, this is not funny anymore right now, but she gets so clingy and she's so dependent that she really feels like she can't live without you. And then you're stuck with her. Okay? And it's so hard for anybody to say, well, go kill yourself. You're not going to do that, right? So, but she's got you again. That's there. So you try to easily let her go and hopefully get her to go see somebody before you get rid of her. You see how intense this can be? This is not just somebody who's a flypaper woman who just sticks to you all the time. This is pretty severe. That's there. But isn't it interesting? This is a moderate impairment. Wait till we get to the other ones. And by the way, she's been doing this since childhood. She's been dependent since childhood. Another one that's mostly female is histrionic, which is very the same way, but this is the drama queens of the world. This is the one where they're not just saying, oh, you don't love me. They're screaming and yelling and just upset all the time. Did you ever see a movie? Oh, I just forgot the name of it. If I walk around, maybe I'll remember it. Glenn Close was in it, and Michael Douglas, and she kills the dog. Did you ever see this one? Women, if you ever want to when you get married, make your guy go see this one. Because Michael Douglas has an affair with her, and she turns out to be a histrionic personality and fatal attraction. Thank you. What did she kill? The rabbit. Yeah, that's where she sneaks into her house. Well, anyway, everything is drama. It's histrionics, it's dependent, and it's just all kinds of screaming and yelling that's there. And sometimes they do threaten your own life. That's there. Now, the two ones that are more male, okay, are narcissistic and antisocial. Antisocial, I'm going to spend more time on, but narcissistic is this. So you're going out with me, are you? You are one lucky woman. There are a lot of women who want to be going out with me, and you're pretty fortunate to be going out with me. Narcissistic personalities seem to run in certain professions as well. I see a lot of athletes, professional athletes, who are narcissistic personality. I'm not going to mention names because I could get sued, but there was a sports personality, let's just say, here in Dallas who used to have a radio show. And every time he talked about what his thoughts were, he always used the third person. This is not his name. I'm going to make this up. He'd say, you know what? This is what John thinks about this. And John does this, and John does that. And you'd be going, well, why don't you just say, I think this? No, because I'm John, and I'm pretty incredible. Most of these people think they're above the law, okay, that they can get away with all kinds of things. You can see this in movie stars, in rock personalities, artists, all kinds of different things. Anywhere where you're going to get a lot of public worship, that's there. But especially athletes, because most of these athletes had this happen when they were younger. They were the stars, okay, of the team and were statewide known and things like that. So everybody's always been building them up. And if you break up with them, that's your fault, and that's your problem. They have a tendency to match up with the dependent personalities. Good for them, right? Yeah, to do that, because they find somebody, the dependent, who does worship them. I also think there's been quite a few politicians who could fall under the category of narcissistic personality disorders as well. And again, once these people die, then I can mention their names and stuff that are there. But they are the gift to everybody, and they're the most incredible people around. And even when you call it on them, they just kind of shake their head and go, no. Now, the next one is called an antisocial personality disorder. This is the one we want to spend more time on. I'm going to do all three of these, but let's go to antisocial first. These people are dangerous. Okay? These are the dangerous people. Antisocial personality disorder. They're irresponsible and they have antisocial behavior. They go against society. Crime rates, they go against society. Now, when I use the word antisocial, Thanksgiving is coming up. You're going to be with your families and stuff. There's that cousin of yours that doesn't talk to a lot of people, and she just kind of sits in the corner, and we say, oh, she's so antisocial. This is not what I'm talking about, all right? She's just introverted. These people are against society. They can be aggressive, and here's the big ones. They're deceitful, reckless, and they lack remorse. They are incredible liars. Credible liars. They lack remorse. They're deceitful. There's one institution that are full of these people, and that's called prison. Okay? Prison has a lot of antisocial personalities in it. All right? Did you write all this one down? Okay. All right. Part of the next slide, we used to call these people sociopaths. You know that term, don't you? Psychopaths. These are the serial murderers. This is Hitler. This is Joseph Stalin. This is Saddam Hussein. This is David Koresh. You remember him down in Waco? No? Okay. Remember him? Have you ever seen the movie Girl Interrupted? And the character that Angelina Jolie played. Okay, she was an antisocial personality. If you want to go back and see a good flick about mental institutions and the characters in it, Angelina Jolie was an antisocial personality. Okay, full blown, that's there. Can I go to the next one now? Okay. So these individuals, also known as psychopaths and sociopaths, are poorly socialized and seem to be incapable of having deep feelings such as shame, fear, loyalty, or love. There's a spectrum here with these people. At one end, okay, they're the serial killers. They'll kill somebody, no questions asked, and they don't even feel it. When these kids were younger, these are the kids who you might have went to school with, and everybody went, stay away from him. He's an evil child. This is what you say. These kids are evil. These are the kids that will intentionally hurt animals, okay, and get pleasure out of, not pleasure out of doing it, but couldn't care less. They have no empathy whatsoever. I still remember this because this was so chilling to me. There were two guys once in Arlington area that were working at a 7-Eleven or a store, like a convenience store like that. Okay, there was a young girl who was riding her bicycle back and forth because she had a very low IQ score. She had a lot of mental issues, cognitive issues that were there. Okay, but she was a nice girl. She worked with them. She went home one day, and these two guys killed her. Okay, and they caught her. They caught them right away. Okay, and they were handcuffed and everything coming in. And one of the radio announcers said, "Why did you kill her?" Okay, and these two kids went, "I don't know. It was kind of fun. She was a mental retard, and that was not much of a life. So we thought we wanted to see what it was like, and we killed her." So it was like, oh man, that's pretty sick, isn't it? Okay, no remorse, no shame, okay, whatsoever that's there. It's just another life. Oh, I like your shoes you have on. Give me the shoes. No, boom. Okay, I'll kill you because I want your shoes. Okay, right? Pretty scary these people are. That's one extreme. The other extreme is these people aren't going to physically hurt anybody, but they still have no shame, no fear. They're deceitful. They lie all the time. By the way, a sociopath, if I introduced you to a sociopath, most of you, even me, would believe exactly what they're saying because they're so convincing. At the other end are the con artists of the world. Okay? These are the people, when we have the next hailstorm that comes in and they come in and they sell people roofs. okay? And they knock on your door, and they're extremely charming, okay? They know exactly what you need to hear. They'll tell you that. They read your body language real well, and they'll tell you exactly what you want to hear. Did you ever see a movie called Leonardo DiCaprio? Catch Me If You Can, thank you. Catch Me If You Can. And he made believe he was a pilot and a medical doctor. A complete sociopath. Antisocial personality, because he absolutely believed it and pulled it off. These are the con artists of the world. Sorry to say this, but some of you have gone out with these guys. These are the guys that you meet somewhere, and they may not even be attractive, most of them are, but they know what to say to you. They take whatever you want to hear and give it right back to you. Oh, I'm really not that attractive. God, you have beautiful eyes, though. Yeah, your eyes are so pretty. You have probably the most. Do you really think they're pretty? Yes, they are, because you know your eyes are pretty. And so they laid on you real thick, and you're kind of like, oh, right, and they buy you nice presents and everything else. Pretty soon they're living with you. And this is an incredible relationship, by the way, because they are so charming. But you know what's interesting? They don't want to go out with any of your friends or meet any of your family or anybody else, because they want to be able to get you alone and convince you. Because once your family and friends and other people hear this guy, what he's saying, they're going, something's not right here, okay? But they don't want you to hear that. So they kind of seclude you. You're now living with them. You come home, it's Friday, you just cashed one of your paychecks. You've got $5 $20 bills. You put them in your purse. You tell him, I'm going to just take you out. I mean, this is such a great relationship. I just want to take you out. She says, great. She says, let me go take a shower. Take a shower. She goes out. You go to the restaurant. She pulls out, they put your cash in those little envelopes. She pulls it out, opens it up. There's no money in it. And she says, what the hell happened to my money? And she looks at the guy, and he says, whoa, you're looking at me like I may have taken your money? I thought you loved me. You don't love me? You think I would? I don't believe this. I think I need to go. No, don't go. You don't believe me? You don't trust me after all we've gone through together? Now, you don't believe me, because I don't know how to say this very well, but I caught some of you on it. But she goes, oh, okay. I misplaced it. Does it the next Friday, same thing happens again, money's gone. She looks at him a little bit more, and he says, I thought we went through this last week, okay? I think you're just misplacing these things. Yeah, and by the way, at this point, now you're pissing me off. Because now you think that I'm doing this to you? I'm the one that should be angry. And then pretty soon you go, I'm sorry. So the next Friday, you go through the same thing. You turn the shower on this time, right? But you don't take a shower. You open up the door, you look out, and there he is, right in your purse. And you go, ah! Got you! And he says, yes, you did. I am so sorry. You lied to me. Yes, I did. I lied to you. You need to just get rid of me. I am just a complete crap a guy. I lied to you. I did it. I'm not even going to say I'm sorry, okay, because it's so bad that I did. But I just want to let you know why I've been taking your money. Never talked about my mother. My mother, who's very ill. And then you go, okay, here's another $20. We may laugh about this, and I'm trying to present this in a humorous way, but these people are so good that they catch you doing this. As a therapist, I don't see many of these people, but every once in a while when I used to do relationship counseling, somebody would bring them in, and I'd sit there and I'd go, this guy is too good to be true. Okay, something's going on. And then they didn't want to come back, and of course they convinced the girl that I shouldn't come back because all I was somebody who was manipulating them, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Wow, these people are scary. Okay? And by the way, eventually she does stand up, she catches him, she gets rid of him. Then he just goes on to the next person. He's just gone. He goes on to the next person. And scary people. What are the causes? Remember, there's a continuum there. They're against society, violence, okay, or just manipulating people. And by the way, isn't this something? This is a minor impairment. This is mild impairment because they're out in society. I even wonder if certain occupations attract some of these people, antisocials, the ones who lie and stuff. Now, I'm not making fun of salespeople, but, you know, if you got a good gift that's there, do all that stuff, you might be able to persuade people. All right, so what are the causes, you think, of these people? Biopsychosocial. Bio, PET scans indicate, remember PET scans? That unusual brain patterns in these people. No activity in areas of the brain that are associated with emotions and self-control. They just don't react. You don't see that information that's there. So there's something going on in the brain that's there. 2, the psychological reasons. Most of these people are conditioned at an early age to lie, and they get rewarded for it. Remember a long time ago, I did that whole sequence when I was talking about displaced aggression. And they said a little boy who hit a ball, and the ball shattered his dad's pick-em-up truck. Dad ran out, said, "Who did it?" The dad whacked him one. Okay, next time he hits the window again, Dad runs out, "Who did it?" And the boy learns to what? Lie with a straight face. "Oh, I didn't do it, Dad. He did it." What we're doing is teaching that young boy to lie and do it very convincingly. So then what does he do? Then he lies to his teachers, his coach, girls, and on, and it becomes a conditioned behavior. And the last one, social, the environmental. Most of these people are emotionally deprived. They can be abused and neglected as children. How does someone get to be an antisocial personality? It's probably all 3. Which one comes first? I don't know. My guess is there's probably a genetic predisposition biologically. And then what happens? They have a tendency to begin to lie, not show emotions. They get rewarded for it. Psycho part. Okay? And there may be some abuse when they were younger as well. To me, these are the most scary people in the world. Okay? Even the people you meet on the streets who are talking to people that are schizophrenics, to me, they don't scare me. These people do, because they're out there in the world, and it's hard to find them. All right, did you get all this? Okay. So, quick question. A person who has trouble forming close relationships because he is emotionally shallow, dishonest, and manipulative may be diagnosed with what? Major depression, acute stress, antisocial personality disorder, or sociopathy. The key word in here is diagnosed with. Okay, we have this other stuff. So you may think that an antisocial I did it again. Has good relationships because he's in relationships, but those relationships are not very, very good. They're not very good. So basically, your answer is going to be what, 3 or 4, right? Did you get that one, everybody? Okay. All right, the correct answer is 3. 4 is a description of those people, but you cannot diagnose someone with sociopathy because it's not a diagnostic category anymore. We now call it antisocial personality disorder. Okay? Treatment. Good luck. They'll manipulate the therapist like they do all other relationships. That you can't get him into therapy. There's nothing wrong. By the way, you can't get a narcissistic personality into therapy unless he's convicted of something and it's court ordered, okay? Because most of them don't change very much either. Why should they? Why should I just go on to the next person? I'm not wrong. Okay? So when we cover the next chapter on therapy, one of the things we always say in therapy is someone has to be aware that they have issues and want to change for any therapy to really work. So with these people, it's very, very hard to get them to change. The fellow who the movie was based on, Catch Me In As You Can, later became an FBI consultant. Okay, and they did a play about him and everything. And I was kind of fortunate. I went to see the play in New York City with my family, and they said, "Oh, at the end of the play, we're going to have the author who this play was based on, who the movie was based on, to come out. And he came out and talked to everybody. He now makes big money from the FBI and consults with security firms to try to catch these people. So my question to him was, how do we know you're still not an antisocial and you're lying to all us now because you're making a hell of a lot of money doing all this stuff? And you know what he did? He went, you never know, do you? That was kind of scary, but I guess he's done some really good work with the FBI to try to show how to catch these people. He still may be impersonating. All right, let's do another one. This is we had mild impairment. This is medium impairment, the one in the middle there. An avoidant personality disorder. The major characteristic is they're timid, uncomfortable in social situations, and fear evaluations. Well, you know, there are a lot of people like that, aren't there? I mean, if you're an introverted person, you're kind of timid. You don't like social situations that are there. You don't like evaluations. But I'm not talking about something as mild. I'm talking about more severe. Because these people, moderate impairments, they're in and out of relationships and in and out of jobs. They can't hold the relationships. Very few of them are even in a romantic relationship, period. And two, they don't hold on jobs. This is how severe this is for these people. There's someone who's lived above you in your apartment for the last 3 years, okay? You've never met them. And then one day, you're down at the little mailbox, and they're there. And you go, oh, you're the person who lives above me. You're so quiet, I never hear you. My name is Steve. What's your name? You know, we really should exchange each other's emails in case things happen. We can take care of each other. And this person goes, okay. The very next day, there's a moving van out in front. They've packed it up. They've left. They'll forfeit their rent. They'll forfeit everything that's there. They are so extreme, so all of these characteristics that are there that they're going to be gone. Your boss comes in, and there's somebody you work with, doesn't talk to anybody. New boss comes in, says, teamwork. We got to all start working as a team. We're going to do some team building exercises. What we're going to do is this Friday, we're going to leave work at 3 o'clock, all go to a happy hour, I'm buying. Okay? Everybody's there except avoidant personality, they quit. They're gone. Okay? Been working there 3 or 4 years, makes good money. No more, I'm gone. I can't take this. This is extreme, isn't it? It's overwhelming. So that's what we're talking about here. We all have issues, right? But this is a little more extreme. And the last one, which would be the borderline personality disorder, would be severe. These people are in and out of hospitals. Okay? They're in and out of hospitals. They are on the borderline of losing touch with reality, becoming psychotic. Although they never become psychotic, because my thinking is psychosis is more of a brain abnormality. These people don't have those issues, but they have a lot of psychological issues. They have a lot of instability in affect regulation, emotional regulation. Okay? What you and I may consider to be mildly upset about something, they become intensely upset about something. They are highly suicidal. They have their instability in their relationships, their self-image, their behavior, chronic suicidal ideation and behavior, and they do a lot of self-injury. Sometimes these are the people that cut on themselves. Okay? Why do they cut on themselves? Their psychological pain can be so great that if they cut, they'll feel the physical pain and not the psychological pain. Or, okay, their psychological pain is so great, what happens is I want to teach myself to be numb, so I'll cut and cut until I can't feel the cuts anymore, then I don't feel anything anymore. Okay? So it's more severe that's here. The same movie, A Girl Interrupted, Winona Ryder, she played the character in that one that was a borderline personality. Okay? That's there. Most of these people, by the way, have a lot of abuse when they're younger. Okay? A lot of abuse, particularly sexual abuse, when they're younger. And what winds up happening is they get so in control of themselves and they fear everybody else because no one loves me, I'm just a horrible person, I can't trust anybody. And they control themselves so much that what winds up happening, they lose control so quickly. I don't know if you understand that, but too much control in your life is going to lead to you losing control very, very quickly. Okay? I've worked with a lot of borderlines over the years. You work with them for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. It takes about 1 year just to get their trust levels, okay, that are there. And they constantly try to show that they're not worthy of trust in any way. But they wind up being a very intelligent people, and they do real well in life as they go through this and can resolve some of these issues. Which of the following, for 1 point, following personality disorder describes a person who has exaggerated sense of self-importance, who needs constant admiration, and often fantasizes about power, wealth, brilliance, or beauty? Histrionic, paranoid, antisocial, or narcissistic? Once again, these are extremes, aren't they? But these people have been doing this since they were very, very young. Since they're very, very young. All right, everybody got this one? What do we have? 61? Everybody got it? Okay. Right, narcissistic. Right? That's there. I've encountered the following personality disorders: antisocial, avoidant, borderline, narcissistic, all of the above. Somebody asked me in my other class, what about stalkers, people who stalk someone? I mean, they're unhealthy people as well, that's there. I don't know if I can diagnose them with one of these personality disorders that are there or not. But they sure have issues. Not any of these, there might be a couple others I could. We're approaching the anniversary of the killing of JFK. I always thought that Oswald Lee Harvey was a narcissistic personality disorder. And he needed to, when he went to the Soviet Union, he had to be different, he had to be incredible. His mother was definitely narcissistic, okay? And he went there and he found out that they didn't think he was that wonderful, and he came here and he had to do something, okay, to be in the limelight, so people would remember him. And remember, he tried to shoot General Walker, but just a little piece of wood diverted that attention from there. And I think that he was a narcissistic personality, and he got glorified when he killed him. That's there. Anyway, that's my JFK deal. All right, so a lot of you, none of the above, some of you, all of the above. The people are out there. Once again, to truly get this diagnosis, you probably haven't seen as many as you think you have, but there are people out there who have traits of these, okay, who have traits of these. All right, let's talk about another category of psychological disorders. Still with me, right? And that is all of these disorders that I'll talk about for the rest of today are anxiety-based disorders. So what's happening here, there's too much stress in someone's life, and the stress is overwhelming them, and then it manifests itself, okay, in certain behaviors and issues when stress gets to be too much in our life. I think most of us, at one time in our life, probably could be diagnosed as having an adjustment disorder. Because what is an adjustment disorder? This is when you're in a situation where things have changed. You've moved, someone has died that's close to you, you went through a divorce, you lost your job, and what's happening is, in X amount of months, and depending upon what level here, it could be anywhere for 3 to 6 months or almost a year. You're still dealing with trying to adjust to a change in your life, but you can't. And the anxiety is getting so big, okay, and so overwhelming that you're losing sleep at night, you're losing weight, or you're putting on weight. All your friends say to you, what's going on with you? You know, you seem to be so stressed all the time, okay, and you say, well, I can't get over. Most of us can get over stuff or adjust to things in 3 to 6 months, but for this diagnosis, we have not. Okay? These people have not. So in some cases, you have an adjustment disorder with anxiety, prevalent anxiety. Sometimes you have an adjustment disorder with more depression, and sometimes you have an adjustment disorder with anxiety and depression. That's there. But again, it's overwhelming. You haven't adjusted to a change in your life. This is probably the most mildest form of a diagnosis that people can have. Most people, as the months go on, cope and change and go on with their lives. Sometimes we get stuck in things and it takes us a while to adjust. The next grouping are a little bit more severe. This is called the anxiety disorders. Okay? One is called generalized anxiety disorder. This is where you just have not relaxed in 6 months to 1 year. You just can't come down. Okay? Everything just, you wake, you don't sleep the full night. You're always worried about something. These people can also be called the chronic worriers. Okay? They're worried about everything. What did I get on the 4th test? I'm not sure what I got on the 4th test. He hasn't told us just yet. He said, I'll do these grades. Maybe I'm going to fail. I don't know. I can't do extra credit anymore. Later on today, I have to go to work. And I don't know what's going to go on at work today. I hate my job. And what happens is that they just can't calm down. They're worried about everything. They just they go and go and go. They have what we call as free-floating anxiety. It's always there. Always around them. Always around them. Always on edge. If this gets too bad, they might start having what's called anxiety attacks. Okay? And you don't want to have an anxiety attack. An anxiety attack, okay, can happen anytime, anywhere, any place. Okay? What it is your body's been running on the sympathetic part of your nervous system too long, watch my chest, too long, and what happens? I don't want to do that to myself. What happens is that you begin to hyperventilate. That's what an anxiety attack is. It's your hyperventilating. And they happen at odd places. You may go to a movie and go, God, I just want to relax. I'm just going to go to a movie, a nice comedy. And you're laughing, and all of a sudden in the middle of this whole thing, you can't breathe, you can't catch your breath, you get this cold, clammy feeling about yourself, you feel like you're going to pass out, you feel like you're losing it, and you run into the bathroom, and you splash water in your face, and you're trying to come down. If this ever happens to you, there's nothing you can do to end an anxiety attack after it starts. The best thing you can do is let it run its course, and 2, take a couple of deep breaths. Try to breathe. Remember, breathing from down here. Or if you have any Valium, stick it underneath your tongue, or Xanax. It works real well, very fast. Okay? Some people just, breathe in a paper sack, because it changes the carbon dioxide levels that are there. That'll help you too. But you just have to let it run its course. That's the moment you have to say to yourself, I need help. I can't go on like this anymore. Okay? Anxiety attacks. Generalized anxiety disorder. If you let that go, don't get any help with it, sometimes it can get even worse and get into what's called panic disorders. All the same symptoms of an anxiety disorder, but now you may have not an anxiety attack, now they get into a full-blown panic attack. And there are differences between the two. A panic attack is exactly the same symptoms as a heart attack. A lot of people who have a panic attack think they're having a heart attack, and they take them to the hospital, the emergency room, they do all the cardiovascular tests, and they say, nothing wrong with your heart, what you had was a panic attack. And you go, why? Are you upset about anything? Oh, no. Oh, yes. Okay, there's something going on in your life. You hyperventilate, you have tense pain across your chest, centered over in the left part of you. Sometimes you get severe headaches that are there. Where you think you're losing it in an anxiety attack, in a panic attack, you do lose it. Sometimes you hear people say, oh, he had a nervous breakdown. That's what happened. Well, your nerves don't break down, but what happens, you lose control of your life. I've seen people, make sure nobody happens to this. This is not a suggestion for anybody. But sometimes people during finals week have panic attacks. And I'll walk across campus and I'll see somebody just in the corner just kind of shaking, okay? And I have to approach them and say, well, what's going on? And I call the counselors, okay? But they're just in a full-blown, wide-eyed, pupils dilated, having a full-blown panic attack. Oh, these are severe. If you ever had these, then you know you need some help. Now, a panic disorder can come about with or without agoraphobia. What is agoraphobia? Is afraid of open spaces. None of you are agoraphobic in here, unless you're on medication. Because what? This is a big open space. What winds up happening, this becomes a classically conditioned reaction. Remember classically conditioned? You're out at you're in the Galleria, and you're going down one of the escalators up from the 4th level that's up there, and you're coming down in that big space that's there, and you have a panic attack. Okay, it just hits you. Then you begin to associate the panic attack with an open space, and by the time you come down, it's one trial learning, and people learn that it's just done to them. So a lot of times you have a diagnosis of panic disorder with agoraphobia. That's there. You can have a panic disorder with claustrophobia as well, or anything else. If Glenda suffers from chronic anxiety and stays in her home because she's afraid of having another panic attack in public, a psychologist might consider to have the diagnosis of what? You're all going to be psychologists now. What would you diagnose her with? Panic attack with agoraphobia, acute anxiety, dependent personality disorder, or adjustment disorder? Chronic anxiety, right? So that's one trait. Stays in her home because she's afraid of having another panic attack in public, so she doesn't want to go out in public. All right, we got this? Right, panic attack with agoraphobia, okay, because it's the open spaces that she's afraid of. These people, it's hard to help them, one, because most psychologists don't make house calls, because they need to go. I've worked with agoraphobics before, and you basically have to talk with them to get a ride with somebody else. They have to go into a closed space, put a blanket on their head, lay down in the back, come to your office, take the blanket, come into your office. Okay, because they'll have a panic attack if they're out in the open, unless you get them on medication. That's there as well. So they're hard to work with as well. Very debilitating. All right, let's talk about some other anxiety-based disorders. Remember, we're still on anxiety-based disorders. So it's overwhelming anxiety. OCD. Have you ever heard of this? OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. Now, those of you who looked real closely at my personality disorders, there is something called an obsessive compulsive personality disorder. That's different than this. A obsessive compulsive personality disorder are the very, very, very controlling people of the world. These are the people you go out with who tell you what to wear, how to wear your hair, what shoes to wear, and if you don't do that, they get upset about it. They're very controlling people. You go into their houses, okay, and everything is exactly in order, okay, because everything has to be controlled. If you just move a glass over here, they'll automatically put it right back again, because they don't like when things are out of order. That's the obsessive compulsive personality disorder people. This is different. What happens with these people is that they get a thought in their head about something, an obsession. When they get the thought, it brings on anxiety, and the anxiety gets so great, so overwhelming, and they wind up doing something, and that whatever they do will reduce the anxiety and take away the thought. You get that? So let me show you. Let's say I don't like dirt, because this is the most common OCD issue. And I walk into this class and I put my hands down like this, and I do know this for a fact. I don't know if anybody has ever cleaned the top of this deal here, all right? So I put my hands here like this, and I got to watch myself. I don't want to convince myself to be OCD. Okay? I'll do this, and then I'm standing here going, who knows what kind of germs I got in my hands. I got all kinds of germs in my hands. You guys are looking at me kind of strange too, but I got germs in my hands. I got lots of germs. Don't touch your face. Who knows what diseases you may get. Don't do that. Now, as I worry about this, it's building up my anxiety. My anxiety gets so great. And what I'll say to you people is, take a break. I'll be right back. And what I'm going to do is run into the bathroom, okay, and wash my hands. The washing of my hands is the compulsive behavior which reduces my anxiety, which takes away my obsessive thoughts. When I wash my hands, most people have a ritualistic behavior with it. Not only do I wash my hands, but I may have to do it 7 times. Soap, seven squirts of soap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 towels. And by that time, I'm okay. I'm relaxed. I come back. Okay, here I am again. What winds up happening is that they have a thought, there's an anxiety, and then they accidentally do something, conditioning again, and that relaxes, and then they go, oh, I bet you a lot of you are a little OCD. How many of you, before you go to bed at night, check every door and every window to make sure they're locked? Oh, okay. Does anybody, when they back up, get a little anxious, and what you do is you go out and make sure there's nobody behind you? Yeah, because you read a story once where somebody ran over their child. You see what I'm doing? He said, I read a story once, and I don't know, could that be? I don't know, I better go check. And then you go check, and it becomes a habit. As good as it gets. You ever see that old Jack Nicholson movie? He was OCD in that. By the way, there are a lot of very famous people who are OCD. OCD helps you get things done. Okay, another Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Avatar. No, it wasn't Avatar. He played, that wrong movie. It was Howard Hughes he played. And Howard Hughes was a famous inventor who was obsessive compulsive, eventually died. He owned a hotel in Las Vegas and got into dirt. And anytime you went to see him, you had to get sprayed down with stuff. And Thomas Edison was OCD. A lot of artists are OCD. Writers are OCD. Okay? Got to get things done. If I don't get things done, once I get this done, then I'll be able to relax. And they push themselves. I'm a little OCD sometimes. Okay? I wrote my doctoral dissertation in a summer, 3 months, probably 2.5 months. Okay? About that thick. Okay? That's there. I worked on it 8 to 10 hours to 12 hours a day. Okay? This was before computers, by the way. Okay? I'd get up every morning, eat my little cereal, had my manual typewriter right here, and as I was eating my cereal, I'd start thinking, what do I need to write about today? This is what, I need to write about that. Yeah, that's a good thought. And I just get into it, and I start typing. Then I'd get hungry, and I go, oh man, look, I've been typing for 3 hours. Wow, I was really into this. I was lost, man. I was gone. I make myself a sandwich. As I was eating my sandwich, oh yeah, I got to finish that thought. Then the same thing happened with dinner. Then at the end of the week, I would finish a little chapter, and you have to bring it up to your major professor, who then his job is to find every single little flaw that there is in it, give it back to you. And I didn't have the luxury to go back to my little computer program to change it. I had to retype the whole damn thing all over again. But when I got back, I got into my house, and I looked, and there were like 5 half-eaten bowls of cereal, moldy sandwiches. I was just gone. I was away somewhere. I got lost in this stuff. That's it. A little creepy, isn't it, to think about that? But I have a tendency to do that. But you know what? I've got a PhD at the end of my name because I got it done. And I think people who are successful sometimes get driven this way and they get things done. Some of you are a little OCD. It'd be wonderful to be able to turn it on when you want it, wouldn't it be? And then be able to say, all right, enough is enough. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Boy, don't we see a lot of this now? And we hear about this. Those of you who might have been in Afghanistan or Iraq, okay? This terminology came about after the Vietnam War. We used to talk about this when we talked about after World War II, or battle fatigue or shell shock that's there. What this is any traumatic situation that someone has encountered. A natural disaster, Hurricane Katrina, 9/11, bombing in Oklahoma City, tornadoes, watching a buddy die, being in Afghanistan or Iraq, being hyper vigilant when you're there, because you're looking around and you don't know, okay, who's friendly and who isn't, okay, who may have an incendiary bomb with them, who may not. So you become hyper vigilant and you're looking around at people because that's the way you survive. Sleeping what? Under your bed instead of on top of the bed, because you never know what's going to happen. And then what happens, we give you leave and we say, come on back to Dallas. And you're back in Dallas in 2 days and your whole family goes, oh, it's so good to see you. Okay? And they say, come on, let's go to church. And then you go to church, but you're still hypervigilant. And you're looking at people and your anxiety is still really high. You can't just turn this stuff off like this. Okay? And then you lay down on your floor and your whole family goes, why are you laying on the floor? Okay? Because you're more comfortable this way. And then you start having flashbacks, intrusive thoughts that you can't shake of things that have happened to you and incidents that you saw. You could have major depression with PTSD, heightened states of anxiety that's there. There's usually a dual diagnosis with this, because the only way people can calm down sometimes would be if they start doing alcohol or anything else that's there. Okay? Some of you or some of your friends and family, brothers and sisters, may have PTSD. Okay? By the way, I am not saying everybody. Matter of fact, the numbers are in 15-20% that's there. However, what's important, if you've ever experienced a disaster like that or a traumatic event, whether it be rape, car crashes, things that you've seen, and you keep getting flashes of this, intrusive thoughts, then that builds the anxiety. Nowadays, we know enough that when we have a natural disaster, we send in not only first response members that are for physical reasons, but for psychological reasons as well. To go in to get people talking, to start letting go of some of this stuff. Because what happens when you try to control this and not want to think about it, it just makes it worse. Right? PTSD. The last one, and then I'll stop. Dissociative disorder. This is an anxiety-based disorder. We used to call this multiple personalities. Remember this one? Boy, movies. All kinds of movies about this one. Three Faces of Eve, Sybil. Okay? What happens here, it's an anxiety disorder. These people are not psychotic. When they become a different person, they really believe they are that person, okay? However, most of these people have had severe trauma when they were children. Most of these people have been abused as a child, particularly sexually abused, but also physical abuse when they were younger. Little children don't have defense mechanisms like you and I have. So what happens to them, if something happened during the night, then that same perpetrator gets up the next morning and says, oh, how are you? Hopefully you slept good. Okay, what can I make you for breakfast? Well, the poor child is kind of like, oh my God, what you did. Ah! And they don't know where to go with this. So what happens is that they invent what we call as an alter ego, somebody to come out and handle the situation. Okay? Remember I told you the other day that looks like there's a child that's been wounded, an adult that handles everyday life, and then a parent. I think we all have alter egos. I probably wouldn't call it alter egos. I'd say we all have different roles we play in life. There's Steve Link, who's the professor. There's Steve Link, who's a husband. There's Steve Link, who's acts differently when he's with his mother. There's Steve Link, who's a parent. There's Steve Link, who you may see in a bar sometime. I mean, there's all different Steve Links. But I know who Steve Link is, and it's just some little difference that I have. These people don't know the difference. That's why they might wake up in Waco, okay, and not realize how they got there, because a different personality took over and took them there. Okay? So you have the basic of 3 different personalities you start off with, and then what happens if that personality can't handle the stress, they split off in that way. There's another part of dissociative disorder that's called depersonalized disorder. And it's a milder form of this. In a depersonalized disorder, stuff has happened and it's so emotionally upsetting to you, you don't split off into different roles or personalities, but you just go blank. And you can actually see these people, they just get dazed out and they don't feel anything. They depersonalize. There's no feeling whatsoever when something stressful hits them. We also see that in PTSD as well. Okay, things get overwhelming and people just kind of check out a little bit. What we call is depersonalize. It's a milder form of dissociative disorder, all based on too much anxiety.